What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the full 90. Now today it is time for the week 16 predictions, and this is the last Premier League video that I am pre-recording for when I go away to Paris, because obviously from the 3rd of December to the 10th of December I'm away on holiday, so I'm not able to make these prediction videos then. So I don't actually know the results to week 15 of the Premier League, or even the results to week 14 of the Premier League. Now in my week 15 predictions video I went back over my week 14 predictions, even though they hadn't come to fruition yet. So in this video I'm just going to refresh you guys with what I predicted for last week. You can go to, I don't know, BBC live scores or something like that and compare my predictions from last week that I'm going to tell you and remind you of again now to what actually happened. It'll be interesting for you guys to see how I got on, even though I won't actually know at this time right now. So for week 15 my predictions were as follows. I predicted Bournemouth to beat Huddersfield 2-0, Brighton to draw 1-1 with Crystal Palace, West Ham to beat Cardiff 2-1, Man City to slap up Watford 4-1, Liverpool to beat Burnley 3-0, Everton to beat Newcastle 2-1, Fulham to just lose to Leicester 2-1, Chelsea to just beat Wolves 1-0, Arsenal to beat Manchester United 2-1, and Tottenham to beat Southampton 2-0. So those were my week 15 predictions. Hopefully I did all right. If you guys want to be featured in the next video, then be sure to leave your week 16 predictions down in the comments below, and I will be, once again when I'm back from Paris, making these videos and featuring comments from the previous week, going over the previous results, how I actually got on. But this was the only way I was able to do this. So I'm recording these predictions without knowing 2 of each of the team's previous results. So I could have missed a few things that might actually affect these, but hopefully it'll be alright. I want to give a massive shout out to all of you for the support on the channel. We're on our way towards 3,000 subscribers. The views, the likes, everything is absolutely insane, and it really does mean a lot to me. I think going into the new year, after the busy festive period, I'll look towards making some other football videos on this channel, and it is just going to be awesome. But anyway, starting with the week 16, we have Bournemouth versus Liverpool. This is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Liverpool very soon, at the time of uploading this, I think Liverpool will soon have to face Napoli. I think after this game, the next game is Liverpool against Napoli at Anfield, in which they need to win either 1-0 or by 2 goals or more, assuming PSG beat Red Star Belgrade, to qualify for the knockout stages. So it's going to be tough for them. I don't know what stage Liverpool are at right now, but at the time of recording, they just lost to Paris Saint-Germain, like I predicted, much to the disagreement of a lot of people in my comments on my Champions League video who thought I was stupid for saying that PSG would beat Liverpool. But anyway, back to Bournemouth versus Liverpool. I really like what Bournemouth are doing, and if we go to my previous predictions of Bournemouth, I had them to lose against Man City, but I did have them to beat Huddersfield, so I'm gonna say it's fairly certain to say that those 2 things will happen. And for Liverpool, I said they'd beat Burnley and they would beat Everton. Those 2, they might get a draw against Everton. It'll be interesting to see how the PSG game affects them. But I am going with a 3-1 away win to Liverpool here. It's an interesting ground to go to, Bournemouth, and I think it's the kind of ground that bigger teams might struggle at a little bit. Like Liverpool could have a shock to many 1-1 draw in this game, or maybe even lose. Like, we've had shock draws. Wolves versus Man City, that was a shock draw, but we haven't had a shock defeat yet. You know, we had Spurs beating Chelsea, we had Newcastle winning their first game, we had West Ham beating Everton 3-1, even West Ham beating Man United 3-1. West Ham did beat Man United 3-1, didn't they? And I think Brighton also beat Man United 3-1, so we can disregard Man United as a shock result, but we haven't had, for, you know, Spurs. I mean, Spurs lost to Watford, so I guess we can discount them, but that was just a 2-1 and Watford were doing really well. We haven't had Liverpool and City, basically, get beaten by a team yet. You know, they're still undefeated. We haven't had one of those results yet, so maybe Bournemouth could do it and beat Liverpool, you know, because there's got to be a couple shocks in the season. But I am going with a 3-1 win here to Liverpool. The next game is Burnley versus Brighton. This is a bit of a brave prediction, I think, especially considering how things are in the Premier League at the moment. I'm going with Burnley to win this game 2-1 with the home advantage. I think Burnley played some decent football last time I watched them play against Newcastle, even though they did lose. And Brighton's away form is pretty terrible. I think I have got Brighton in the last 2 predictions to draw 1-1 in both of them, and they drew the 1-1 before that. So I haven't seen Brighton getting over the line recently, and obviously they did lose to Cardiff, I believe, before that. So I think Brighton are just kind of struggling a little bit, and I think Burnley need to take advantage of that. Like, they have to try and get a win to get them some points on the board. The next game is Manchester United versus Fulham, and I'm going for probably one of my most brave predictions, but then again, given recent history, is it that brave? I don't know. I don't know how Man United got on in the previous games. I had Man United to just lose to Arsenal at Old Trafford. That would be huge. And I had Man United to beat Southampton. So we'll see how those go. But I've got this game down as just another game where Man United just don't find it. They're weak at the back. That's what I think is going to happen here. The way things are standing, and I'm going with 2-2 Manchester United versus Fulham. This would be one of the best results to get exactly right. I would really like that. The next game is Arsenal against Huddersfield. Again, not entirely sure how Arsenal got on. I predicted them to just miss out against Tottenham and to beat Manchester United. It could be the reverse. They could beat Tottenham and lose to Man United. Really, Arsenal have had a tough run of games up to this point, and I'll be very excited to see if their unbeaten run continues. But I'm going with a 3-1 win here. I think Huddersfield, with picking up a bit of form going forward on the attack, I think they'll be able to break down Arsenal defence at least once, because Arsenal are still a bit susceptible to letting in a goal here and there. But I think 3-1 is a very decent scoreline. And for this one, I've never said this before, I don't think. I think Arsenal are going to be leading at halftime. They haven't done that in many, many games at the time of recording, but I'm calling it now. Arsenal will finally be up at the halftime break against Huddersfield. The next game is Cardiff against Southampton. Now, Southampton, they're not doing very well, but they have been, I think, a little bit unlucky with their results. And I think Cardiff, they're doing okay. My previous results, I've got Cardiff to lose to Wolves and West Ham very narrowly, but still to lose nonetheless. And for Southampton's previous results, I predicted them to lose to Tottenham and Man United. So a very tough run of games for them. I think this is going to be a must-win game, more so for Southampton than Cardiff. I think it's more likely that Cardiff will get something out of West Ham and Wolves than Southampton will out of Manchester United and Tottenham. So I'm going for Southampton to just get the away win here, 2-1. The next game, West Ham versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace previous results I predicted to beat Burnley and draw with Brighton, and West Ham's previous results I've got them to beat Cardiff and also lose narrowly to Newcastle. I'm going with a 1-1 draw here for the two teams. I think West Ham have potential to be better than Crystal Palace, but also Crystal Palace, I think West Ham should, on paper, be better than, just slightly better than Crystal Palace. Let's say West Ham finishing 9th, 10th, Crystal Palace finishing 12th or 13th. That's where I think they should be over a longer period of time. But I think Crystal Palace might cause some issues here, and I don't know. It's a tough one, so I am going with a 1-1 scoreline. You know, can't separate the two. The next game is the big game, Chelsea versus Manchester City. And I'm actually going for a result that Manchester City have already got against one of the top teams. It was against Arsenal. I'm going with Manchester City to win this game away from home, 2-0. I think Chelsea, at the moment, obviously they've got Europa League at the time of recording. Europa League coming up, 2 more weeks. I've got them to beat Wolves and to beat Fulham, so they should be back to winning ways. But likewise, I've got Man City to score 9 goals in their previous 2 Premier League appearances. I've got Man City to win this game 2-0. The next game is Leicester versus Tottenham. Leicester I have predicted to beat Fulham and just lose to Watford, but they could easily beat Watford or draw with Fulham or draw with Watford. Those two are just my predictions that I think, you know, they might happen. And as far as Tottenham goes, I've got Tottenham to beat Southampton and just beat Arsenal in the North London derby. And I am going with another 2-0 away win to Tottenham to continue their form, keeping them at the top of the table or near the top of the table. And with Chelsea losing to Manchester City, in my opinion, if Arsenal can get the win, maybe we'll see a new top 4. Obviously, this is 3 weeks in advance from the time of recording. I don't know what the table looks like. Maybe Manchester United will be in 4th place. They won't be in 4th place, let's be real. They could be in 10th place. I don't know. The next game I have on my list is Newcastle versus Wolves. Now, because I really like Wolves as a team, I love their style of football, I would have hoped that by this point they can pick up some form. And I've got them to beat Cardiff and just miss out on beating Chelsea. And Newcastle's results, I've got them missing out against Everton and just beating West Ham. So it's going to be a very even game. And it is at St. James's Park. I think it's going to be low scoring because Newcastle and Wolves games tend to have under 2.5 goals, which is what I'm going for. out a score 1-1 draw between the two teams. And the final game is Everton versus Watford. Watford are struggling a little bit. I've got them here down to beat Leicester in week 14 just, and to lose to Manchester City. And then Everton, I've got them to beat Newcastle and then lose to Liverpool. So results, I guess, for the most part, you may expect. And I'm going for Everton to win this one at home. I think currently, at the time of recording, they're sitting in 6th position and they're looking very, very good. They're definitely going to get top half of the table this season, in my opinion. And I think they are looking good on the attack. And Watford, they're just a little bit up and down. They started off really well. They fell off. They haven't really, at this point, found their way back. And I think Everton are just going to be a bit too strong for them, because Everton have got to focus on the Premier League. And I just think Watford are a little bit hit or miss at times. So that is what my prediction is going to be, 2-1 to Everton. So that is going to do it for my week 16 video. Sorry that it was a little bit disjointed. It is always hard without, obviously it got even harder with each Premier League video I had to make without a previous week to look back on and compare to. These predictions were based on, yes, what I think the teams would eventually score, what the score would be, but that's based on what I know now, not what I would know in 2 weeks or a week's time for when I would normally make this video if I wasn't away. So back when it comes to week 17 of the Premier League predictions, I will have more knowledge of what's going on, and the Champions League week 6 predictions shouldn't be that affected. Maybe the Premier League and domestic leagues will affect my opinion a little bit on the Champions League, but not as much as it has done the lack of knowledge for this Premier League video. Maybe with this lack of knowledge, I've actually performed better and these predictions go really well. But in week 17, we'll be able to look back and see how these results did and actually have the video formatted the way it usually is. But either way, that is going to do it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a single football-related upload, whether it's predictions or something else that I might have planned for you. Subscribe today, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.